guys, in today's video, I will be talking about conditional statements. You will be able to make your own by the end of this video in Python 3, and you will have a good understanding of them in any programming language. I will be using Trinket.io, but you can use whatever code editor you want if you want to follow along, as long as it's Python 3. As long as you can do Python 3 in it. Okay, so a conditional statement is basically saying, if something is true, do this. And I briefly explained conditional statements in other videos, but I'm going to go deeper today. So, if something is true, do this. And we can say, otherwise, do a different thing. But we actually specify what we want the computer to do. So, let's do that. Okay, so we can say if. Actually, we have to do stuff before we make that conditional statement to actually make it about something. So let's say x is equal to 2. And let's say if x is greater than 0, and we use a semicolon. So we use semicolons in front of conditional statements like an if statement. We use them in front of function names. I'll talk about functions in future videos. We use them in front of loops. I'll talk about those in future videos too. But let's not worry about that right now. So we'll say if x is greater than 0, semicolon, enter, and you see it gives us space there. This is called indenting. So we need this indentation after the line after a semicolon. And then we say what we want to do here, unless we're nesting and we have more conditional statements there, but I'll talk about that later. Okay, so if x is greater than 0, semicolon, space on the next line, and that is 2 spaces. Sometimes it's 4 spaces, depending on the code editor. Okay, so if x is greater than 0, we can say print greater than 0. Pretty simple. Greater than 0. Okay, and then we can say else. Else is just another word for, it's like otherwise for programming. Okay, so else. And you can see these are highlighted in pink because these are keywords. They're reserved words for Python. And this is highlighted in pink because it's a function. And a bunch of other things are highlighted, but that's for a different reason because this is a string, this is a number, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so otherwise, else, semicolon, space, see it indents for us again, then print less than 0. And we can see, let's run this. Let's just run this. You can see greater than 0. 2 is greater than 0. And remember, we're dealing with variables here, so it just replaces x with 2. Okay, so let's move this to, let's say this is minus 7. Minus 7, less than 0. But see what happens if we say 0, less than 0. Okay, that's because it's 0 is not less than 0, but we said if x is greater than 0, not greater or equal to 0. So when you're saying otherwise, when it's equal to 0, that's not greater than 0. So it says less than 0. But we can change that with elif statements. Well, they're called else if statements in other programming languages. The syntax is different, but it's for when there's more than 2 possible situations. So in Python, you say elif, and then you have to say, let's say x is equal to 0. And when we're comparing 2 items, when there's 2 variables or numbers at each side of an equal sign, you actually need a doubles equal because they're comparing each other. If x is equal to 0, semicolon, and then it indents, print, x is, let's just do a capital because we have that going, x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. And we see that other parts of the program still work. Greater than 0. Minus doesn't matter. And then we see it is less than 0. Perfect. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one, and please consider subscribing.